Good evening, or good day. Today is May 18th, 2020, the year of our Lord. And I just wanted to come to you guys real quick. Won't be too much talking. Just wanted to share some things that's been going on, things that I've been researching. We could title this, It's Happening, quote unquote. And I guess the subtitle would be Power to the People. And the highlight of this transmission, I guess, would be those constitutional sheriffs and those constitutional judges standing up, also police chiefs and city council men and women all around the nation. Too many to take track of. But so I wanted to highlight some current ones. This recent one that I have pulled up is from the Baker City Herald. As many have heard, Judge Matt Shurtleff of Oregon Supreme Court overruled their governor's coronavirus executive orders. Now, previously, I believe it was last week or sometime, I have that pulled up as well. I will just go to it real quick. But the Wisconsin Supreme Court invalidates state's COVID-19 stay-at-home order as well. And they actually opened up the business and their businesses and, bars and basically, I'll read it real briefly from Reuters. The Wisconsin Supreme Court struck down a statewide coronavirus stay-at-home order on Wednesday, siding with a legal challenge from Republican lawmakers who said the state's top public health official exceeded her authority by imposing the restrictions. Now, I guess this transmission, I have a few clips that's a couple minutes long that I would like to play that would better explain it than me read it. But we're seeing the stand-up of we the people saying we understand that we have the guarantee of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not just a right. And I seen a beautiful piece on the War Room today with Owen Schroyer and Joy Gibson, where Gibson talked about the flag, I believe, that George Washington created, and it was the Appeal to Heaven flag. In which it's funny because within a piece that I show about the Sierra County sheriff of New Mexico, he deputized some of their residents, I should say, within the county and churchgoers, and offered that opportunity to many churches within his county to be deputized. I got a clip for that too, which will further explain in detail. But nevertheless, when you look at that podium in front of the church they were standing at, I didn't even catch wind of it the first time, is that they are standing behind the Appeal to Heaven flag. I just thought that to be really cool. Nevertheless, back to this. We can see that this whole outbreak thing and the orders, unfortunately, are heavily imposed or on the Democratic side of things. Now, don't get me wrong. I think we all are cognizant of public health and safety. But unlike well-known constitutional attorney Alan Dershowitz said, I believe that's his name.
Let me put it very clearly. You have no constitutional right to endanger the public and spread a disease, even if you disagree. You have no right not to be vaccinated. You have no right not to wear a mask. You have no right to open up your business.
Wait, can I stop you? No right not to be vaccinated, meaning if they decide you have to be vaccinated, we have to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. And if you refuse to be vaccinated, the state has the power to literally take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm.
I'm very troubled by the legality of what you're suggesting, because it seems like we're very close to a government mandate that we must all be vaccinated. Let me take you in another direction here.
I would like to see a government mandate. If a safe vaccine is developed for COVID-19, I hope it's mandated, and I will defend it and will argue that in the Supreme Court of the United States against your views.
I've long held that the bar associations are the biggest enemy of the Constitution everywhere, both the national and the state. And that's because the lawyers think they have the right to twist the law into whatever shape they want it for whatever reason they desire at any given moment. This is no exception. You're talking about a man who says, my client has the right to molest children, blah, blah, blah. And at the same time, but you have no right to refuse getting injected by your government with an unknown contaminant.
Jeffrey Epstein, homeboy, for the record, or his attorney, excuse me, bigger than homeboy. Bill Gates is the homie too, but back to the point. He says that we don't have a constitutional right to not get a mandatory vaccine, which, later on today, like I said, is May 18th, Trump tweeted out how good Alan Dershowitz was for rebutting something Judge Napolitano said. Now, that's neither here nor there. My next report will probably be on Trump's statements regarding the mandatory vaccines and stuff like that, and the DOD getting involved. But I'll give you a teaser right now. We understand, or most people don't, but some people do understand Bill Gates' role within the vaccines and the production of that, and his goal of population control, or whatever you want to call it. Well, with the DOD getting involved and buying up 500 million syringes, what it does is it undercuts any other move that these nefarious globalists have, because now the DOD contracts become priority. And not only that, but we're basically absorbing all the manufacturing supply regarding what it would take for these nefarious actors to complete their final goal. But I'm still working on that. Like I said, it takes time to research, but it's something to look into. Now, am I pro the debate? I am, because Trump says also that some people might not want it. Now, I'm very familiar with doublespeak. Obama was pretty good at that, so it taught me well on how to listen with both ears. Yeah. Nevertheless, back to the point. So Wisconsin Supreme Court says that their governor's orders and health orders are basically not constitutional. Going back to this Baker County judge that happened, I believe it was today. Let's say I heard about it today. Let's take a look at it real briefly. I like the fact that the order's right here. Go ahead and look at it. Can we enlarge it? Whatever. This matter came before the court on May 14th. Plaintiffs for temporary injunctive relief pursuant to Oregon's. Well, we're not going to read all that. We'll go back to the article. So nevertheless, from what I gathered when I read it, which it's a lengthy article, I'll leave a link in the description, that a bunch of churches got together and petitioned their council, city circuit judge, and the Supreme Court ruled and said that it's unconstitutional. Now, let's just go ahead and take a read real briefly. It says Baker County Circuit Court Judge Matt Shirtcliffe on Monday declared that all executive orders Oregon Governor Kate Brown has issued related to the coronavirus pandemic are, quote, null and void. Brown has exceeded her authority by restricting activities, including church services and business operations, for longer than the 28 days the governor is authorized under a state law related to public health emergencies, Shirtcliffe said. The judge granted a preliminary injunction blocking enforcement of the more than 10 executive orders the governor has issued since March 8th. See, an executive order does not supersede your constitution, your state constitution. See, in the state of New Mexico, Article 2, Section, just say 1 through 3, but specifically, I believe Article 2, Section 2 says, all power is vested in the people. All political power is vested in the people, meaning there's no Democrat or no Republican politic body that can make you do something. We have the right to self-government or governance. It's really non-debatable when it comes to say, I'm going to make a mandatory recommendation. Okay, cool. But I think we the people, need to exercise, how should I say, not just patience, but trust in the legal system. Trust in the legal system that we don't have to get violent, we don't have to get combative, we don't have to get all radical, because the founding documents and the law is still the law. And we are starting to see that. We're starting to be reminded of that. But sometimes I think we have to feel tyranny to understand what tyranny is. When you hear social distancing, just say socialist distancing. You know what I mean? Because right now, who's achieving the bread lines? Who's achieving the shutdown? Who is the one that's making all of these ridiculous bills and getting them passed? Sidebar, some of these bills have been in existence for over a year. The CARES Act was first introduced January 24th of 2019. You don't believe me? We'll go to it real briefly. This is another research I'm doing. But it's really sickening. It's really sickening. So we go here. This is congress.gov. This is just a sidebar. House Resolution 748. Shout out to one of the callers from the war room. Right here, introduced in House, January 24th, 2019. Yeah, I'm researching this too, because it went away over here, July 22nd, 2019, and magically appeared in March 2020, the 20th to be exact. Became law a week later. You know what I mean? So, well, not necessarily a week later, but I'm researching, and when I get to it, yeah, I'm not happy. So, back to the article. The judge granted a preliminary injunction blocking enforcement of more than 10 executive orders the governor has issued since March 8th. Shurtliff's decision applies to the entire state. His decision applies to the entire state. He ruled on the motions because the lawsuit challenging the duration of the governor's legal authority was filed May 6 in Baker County Circuit Court. Elkhorn Baptist Church of Baker City is the lead plaintiff in the suit, which was filed by Salem attorney Ray Heck of the Pacific Justice Institute, a nonprofit that defends religious liberty. Bill Harvey, chairman of the Baker County Board of Commissions, filed as an intervener plaintiff in the case as an individual rather than his capacity as an elected official. See, that's exactly what I was speaking about in my last transmission. Basically, it's up to the local people, the sheriffs, the county commissioners, those that understand that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, that the Bill of Rights should be afforded to everybody. We could get into the debates many times over, but understand that when it comes to we the people, we do have power. But if you don't know how to exercise that, and all you're doing is listening to the things on the television, understand that it's tell-lie vision. They tell lies to your vision, and they get you the moment you start believing these lies. And that's very unfortunate, because we as a people have been taught to trust the media, to understand that they do have our best interests in mind, when really everybody in the business knows the motto is, if it bleeds, then it leads. So it's built off of destruction, deception, death, and also just manipulation. They want to control the masses, and it's an ingenious system. But I'll leave this link as well in the article. I encourage the read. It's a long read. But we'll skip down a few paragraphs. It says the governor's lawyers, Mark Abrams and Christina Betty Walters, sought an immediate review of Shurtliffe's decision by the Oregon Supreme Court with the goal of overturning his ruling. Solicitor General Benjamin Gutman filed a petition with the state's highest court Monday afternoon. Abrams said there is evidence that the measures in the governor's executive orders have been effective at curbing the spread of the coronavirus, and that Shurtliff should delay the injunction as a result. But Hack countered that the issue, but Hack countered that the, quote, issue is not whether it's working, it's whether she has exceeded the limits of her authority, end quote. And that, my friends, is exactly what we're talking about. All power, all political power is vested in the people. So we're going to get to some of these, clips real quick, and I probably won't come back to talk. So it's probably about 6 minutes a clip, and I'll just let them interchange without enough of my commentary. I would encourage you to do the research on the great sheriffs and people within your county. Understand, as David Knight would say of InforWars and the David Knight Show, your sheriff is your most important elected official. Your sheriff is, especially if he's a constitutional sheriff, is your first line of defense and last line of protection. As I told you, and you'll see, the county sheriff just deputized his church members because they believe in the Constitution and understand at a certain level that we only exist because we were not able, the nation exists in idea and experiment because there was religious persecution going on. And we wake up in a day and a time that you might not call it religious persecution, but we definitely see some selections when you're saying, well, Planned Parenthood is essential and you guys, Baptist missionaries, it doesn't matter. You guys are non-essential. The word of God is non-essential. Well, I encourage you to look up the words of Jesus where he says, man shall not live on bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. And woe unto those that shake their fist at God, man. That's all I got to say. So here's an article from the Washington Post. This is comical, lengthy as well. I wouldn't encourage you to read this, but it's pretty funny. It says why constitutionalist sheriffs won't enforce coronavirus restrictions because they're unconstitutional. Pretty simple. Bill of Rights, it's like the New Jersey governor said. Tucker Carlson asked him, so did you consider the Bill of Rights and the Constitution when taking into account how you was going to respond to this virus? He's like, no, didn't even come to mind, Tucker. This is what we're dealing with, man. But it's our fault for not being an educated people, for not being an informed public, and really saying, oh, well, I like the way that person looks, so I'm going to go ahead and vote for them. Like, you're an idiot, man. Research their history. Like what sucks for me is I've been paying attention ever since the Bush-Gore election. The butterfly ballots and the hanging chads. You go to sleep, Gore's president, wake up, Bush is, and 9 months later, 9/11. Hey, this government is pretty funny, man. That's all I got to say. So you better watch out for these fools. Literally the ones that say in their heart there is no God. But so this article talks about how sheriffs all throughout the nation, Washington, not following the orders, saying they're unconstitutional, And I'm very excited to see them rise up, and not in a violent manner, but in a reminder manner. That look, you guys, you can go so far with your legislative authority and stuff like that, but nothing super exceeds any of the articles and rights listed before that. We're all, I think, understanding about public safety orders, and there's a real outbreak and everybody's dropping dead. You know, we definitely want to keep people safe, but here in America, they want to make you believe that constitutional sheriffs is a bad thing. And it's like, yeah, it's a horrible thing to a globalist, somebody who doesn't have the America First agenda. You know, I'm the descendant of straight up slaves and Blackfoot and Cherokee natives, First Nation people, as they say. And, you know, my great grandfather lived to be 102, said, man, never forget, you're a born free slave. He was born on a plantation. And I just started to understand those things through life. And I just realized, man, these people are trying to make you a slave, man. This is America. It's America. I love America because you can be whatever you imagine you can be, you know. But right now they're saying, no, you're going to be what we want you to be. And ultimately their goal is to have you dead. You're like, that's pretty extreme. It's like, I know. Pretty sad too. On another note, spiritual side, I would encourage everybody, if you could get a Bible, whether it's the YouVersion app or whatever, spend some time in that, get some devotions going on. More so, if you're so inclined, I would turn you to 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, and read it in its entirety, and understand that these are things that the Creator's speaking to me. And if it says something to you, leave a comment. Once again, 2 Thessalonians, 2nd chapter in its entirety. Maybe at the 3rd too. Leave a comment. And y'all have a blessed evening. Peace and blessings.
Welcome back into the InfoWars War Room is Raw, brought to you by InfoWarsStore.com, live at band.video. Joey Gibson from Patriot Prayer is with us. I want to air a video, something that happened in New Jersey, much like on the West Coast with Joey and Pet Biz and others fighting against this tyranny. It's going on the East Coast as well. So here's what happened. A New Jersey gym owner, even though they're not allowed to open gyms, so the Democrats say, in New Jersey, a gym owner decided to open up anyway, and watch what happened when the police showed up.
Let them speak! Speak your piece and don't worry about it.
We are and we're only here for everybody's safety today. We plan for the worst, hope for the best, and it seems like that's what we have out here today.
Yeah.
Normally, you are all in violation of the executive order. On that note, have a good day. Everybody be safe.
So in case you couldn't really hear that with the kind of jumbled audio there, he's in a mask. Basically, the police show up, and there's a little, just a little confrontation, nothing violent, just peaceful, just, okay, they're there, the police are there. And the police says, I only came here today to tell you that you are in direct violation of the governor's executive order. And having said that, have a nice day. And then takes off, and they cheer, and I guess they reopen, and everything goes just fine. And so, that's kind of a battle, I think, right now that's going on, Joey. So this is how the New Jersey police handled it. I would say, you know what, that's probably the best way to handle this. To say, look, you know what, we recognize the governor or the mayor or whoever has made this thing. And so we do have to come out and address it. However, we cannot legally arrest you. There's no constitutional, ruling that's been made here. And so we're going to tell you what the governor said. We're going to tell you to be safe. And then we're going to tell you to have a merry day. I think that's how the cops should handle it. Now, also, when you're dealing with the mayors and the governors, that's a whole different thing, because now they may try to fine you and stuff. I would suggest never paying those fines, suing them to the hilt. But that's the next level of this battle. Reopening is first.
At church service this weekend, the sheriff of Sierra County criticized the governor and then deputized church members. But what exactly does that mean? Our Nathan O'Neill spoke to the sheriff today for some answers.
Now, the Sierra County Sheriff deputized about 20 churchgoers over the weekend. He says it's about ensuring safety for the community, but he was still very critical of the governor.
New Hope Revival Church is making history this morning. God's going to do some powerful things.
At an in-person church service this weekend, Sierra County Sheriff Glenn Hamilton railed against the governor's public health order.
She didn't open our community. She didn't open our businesses.
So far, the health department has tracked only one case of COVID-19 in Sierra County as the virus continues to claim lives elsewhere in the state.
I'm not attempting in any way, shape, or form to minimize the impact that that's had on our state, on their friends, and on their families. But the reality, folks, is that we're all going to die.
In the middle of the Sunday service,
ladies and gentlemen, will you please raise your right hand?
Sheriff Hamilton deputized any of the churchgoers willing to sign up.
Now, I guess one of the benefits of what we just did here is that under the governor's order, law enforcement's exempted from her order. Believe me, folks, that is not my intent here today.
In a phone interview, Sheriff Hamilton says it's about recruiting help and preparing for the worst.
Should riot conditions start existing, should civil disobedience, it can be everything from crowd control measures to just as simple as administrative staff duties. They wouldn't be engaged in actual law enforcement duties per se, unless the individual has maybe retired law enforcement.
The sheriff tells me that he offered up deputization to all of the churches within Sierra County, and he's expecting a lot more people to sign up in the coming days. However, it is worth noting that all of those special deputies, well, they have no authority whatsoever until the sheriff activates them and calls them to duty. So far, that has not happened. I'm Nathan O'Neill, KOB4.
The World Health Organization warns that the virus may never go away. Wisconsin's Supreme Court strikes down the governor's stay-at-home order. Researchers report that a testing device that's widely used among White House officials failed to detect nearly half of the positive cases found by another machine.
I'm Shelby Holiday, and here's today's update from the Wall Street Journal.
This virus may become just another endemic virus in our communities, and this virus may never go away.
The WHO Emergencies Chief Dr. Mike Ryan said the virus may ultimately be managed rather than eradicated, as it could become another endemic virus, such as HIV, for which effective treatments were developed. Ryan cautioned that even if a vaccine is developed, it will require a lot of work to produce and distribute worldwide. More than 4.3 million cases of coronavirus infection and nearly 300,000 deaths have been reported globally. The Wisconsin Supreme Court blocked the Democratic governor's stay-at-home order, ruling 4-3 that the administration overstepped its authority by extending it without consulting legislators. The governor reacted angrily.
Today, Republican legislators convinced 4 members of the Supreme Court to throw the state into chaos.
Chief Justice Patience Roggensack wrote that the order amounted to an emergency rule that the health secretary who signed it didn't have the authority to create. Republicans said in a statement that business owners can now safely reopen using safety guidelines. The state has been sharply divided over party lines for years. The Associated Press reported that some local governments can still impose their own health restrictions. A study from New York University indicates that Abbott's rapid coronavirus test missed 48% of positive cases that were detected by another common device. The study hasn't been peer-reviewed and was posted online ahead of formal publication. Abbott's ID Now is used daily at the White House to test President Trump and his staffers. The White House declined to comment.
These tests are highly sophisticated, very quick, very good.
Abbott says it's not clear whether NYU researchers processed samples correctly and pointed to other studies showing its test is highly accurate.